I think journalism was the detour. I was always inclined to doing fashion, even when I was really young. I used to just, of course, we play with the dolls and things like that. But I also used to make accessories. I used to make earrings out of paper mache and try to sell it. Just being in that environment, actually, it was a very depressing time there, right? Like a lot of departmental stores were shutting down. It was a financial crisis. It was affecting my families back home. It was affecting everyone. And I was seeing that happening, like massive stores shuttering down. Of course, the question I always get asked is, was Papa Don't Preach inspired by your papa? And I say I was a Punjabi girl, very protected, almost to a point where I wanted to be like, no, I just, I wish I was a guy and I could just go out at this time. And I completely understand why my dad was that way today. But at that point, I was just like, no, there was a lot of rebellion in me.
Hello and welcome back to the show. If you're new here, I'm Sheen, your host, and this is the Dream Girl podcast. Today, you're joining us from Mumbai, India, and this episode is brought to you by Inglot of Apparel Group. My guest today is Shubhika Sharma, the founder and designer behind Papa Don't Preach, a brand that has redefined Indian traditional wear with their bold colors and storytelling. In this conversation, we'll discuss her creative journey and the reality of building a brand that refuses to blend in. Hi, Shubhika. How are you?
I'm really good.
Thank you for making the time for us today.
There's no better way to start a Saturday.
I know. I have to say, I love your jewelry pieces.
Thank
Do you
you.
want to walk us through them?
Oh, no, I've just put it together, but I love this. This is by Valia Nitya. I don't know if you know her,
No.
but an amazing Indian
Beautiful.
jewelry designer. Everything else I've just sourced locally, just
Oh, I
on my
love that.
travels and things like that. So,
Amazing.
Yeah.
So, I've been in Dubai for 4 days now.
okay.
And I always... Mumbai. Yeah.
You said Dubai.
Did I say Dubai? Oh my God. See, Dubai just comes out of the mouth. I've been in Mumbai for the
Right.
past 4 days. And I always complain about the Dubai traffic. But then yesterday, we got stuck in the traffic for 3 hours.
Oh, but Bombay traffic is actually the kindest in the metropolis cities.
Is it actually?
Yeah.
Oh my
You should
goodness.
try Delhi. You should try Bangalore.
So it
Bombay
gets
is a lot
worse.
better. Yeah, but it depends on which area you're in,
Okay, fine.
Yeah. Like
But-
this side of town is very easy to kind of move.
Okay.
in,
Okay.
yeah.
And did you grow up here in Mumbai?
Oh no, I mean in New Bombay, which is like outside of
Navi Mumbai.
Navi Mumbai.
See, I know.
How do you know? That's amazing.
I've been learning.
Oh, nice. Yeah, so I'm born and brought up there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And now listen, I read through your story and I know everybody knows you as the powerhouse behind Papa Don't Preach. But tell me, you started off as studying journalism,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah.
How did that go into fashion design?
I think journalism was the detour. I was always inclined to doing fashion, even when I was really young. I used to just, of course, we play with the dolls and things like that. But I also used to make accessories. I used to make earrings out of paper mache and try to sell it. And for me, the best time of the month was when my mom used to pull out her sewing machine because she used to stitch all our clothes when we were younger.
Okay.
And I would love to have a go at it. It was the automatic one where you put your foot and then it just runs and, you would have like these different color threads. So for me, that was fascinating. Now I'm one of three sisters. The other two weren't really fascinated by it. So I thought there was something wrong with them because there was nothing better than that for me. So I was always inclined to doing it. But I think as you grow up, and I was really exposed to American pop culture through books, and I used to read a lot of these young adult novels and romance novels and things like that. And so for me, I went into a phase where I wanted to be a lawyer one day and I wanted to be a brain surgeon the other day and I wanted to do international relations the other day. It really depends on the book I was reading, flavor of the month. And then by the time it came to me picking, after my 12th grade, when I had to pick a stream, I was like, I don't want to do fashion for 4 years, I'm probably at that time, I thought I'm smarter than that, or I'm, whatever it is that the society kind of feeds into your brain. And so I went into journalism by chance, and not really journalism. I went into mass media. So it had marketing and journalism, but I picked journalism as my specialization, and I'm glad I did. And then I worked for a year for a daily here.
Mm-hmm.
It was quite frustrating for me. I did really well. I have a lot of bylines to my name, but I was frustrated writing it. And while I was studying and I was in my second year of journalism, I started a little boutique, like a tailoring shop, 200 square foot, one Master G, two tailors, and just me. Yeah, and I started just experimenting. Then the more I experimented, I was like, oh my God, this is really complicated. It's not just about making pretty clothes. I was like, there's the electricity used to go every Friday in Navi Mumbai. So I used to have to give Fridays off to my team. And there was an urgent client delivery, and I was selling my Master G. Master G is a pattern cutter. Why can't you just cut the satin? Satin doesn't need any ironing because, he said satin is what needs maximum ironing. And I was like, oh shit, I actually don't know technically how it works. I know the final product that I want, but my communication, there's a gap. My understanding, because it is so technical. There is so much math in it. I mean, you try to cut a neckline for a person. It's like you have to divide it in 4 parts when you fold the fabric. And there was just so much math suddenly. And it was everything I had done to like run away from it. So then I realized that I do need to go and study it in some capacity. So I completed my journalism. And then I went and studied for a year in London College of Fashion. And I think the best decision to ever do that. I don't think I really went into the university too much because that's just who I am. Yeah. There's a reason my brand is called Papa Don't Preach. I don't really sit in the classrooms. But just being in London in 2008, 2009, when actually we were going through the financial crisis the world over, but just being exposed to the high street culture there, and it is such a, like all of Europe, right? There you can't escape the art and the culture and the music and just the people walking on the street and sitting in the tubes and just doing up their hair and doing up their face, and every other person looks different from the other. And that was fascinating for me. So the exposure that I got to just the environment there, it gave me a lot of clarity, gave me a lot of focus of what I wanted to do when I came back. And I launched my high street wear label, which is not who we are now.
Yeah.
So we didn't really start with Indian wear. We did like 2-3 years of, when I say we, it was just me. Yeah, but I like to say we.
The regal we.
Yes, the regal we. We started as high street wear because I was enamored by Topshop and, River Island and what was going on. Like, what were these neon colors and these amazing trench coats and these zippers everywhere? Like, I was like, India doesn't even know they don't have it. Like, they need me. And my dad was like, I don't think they need you. Like, why has nobody else thought of it? Do you have a plan? And I was like, no, Dad, you don't get it. Like, it's just so beautiful to be young and delusional.
Yeah.
Like, it's so exciting. I would give anything to be back in that state of mind that I can do everything. Like, this is what I need to do. I'm going to change the world and India's going to love me for it. So that's how we launched it. And I mean, it was exciting 2 years, but I realized that we needed to, when in India, you need to respect the people. And especially the people who you're asking to part with their hard-earned money.
Right.
You can't say, but I don't care about like Indians and Indian wear and Indian craftsmanship and, so I learned that. And then we launched our Indian wear in the year 3 of Papa Don't Preach.
Okay. Well, so much to dive into. First of all, I can see that you are an artist because you see the creative part of everything. The fact that on the tube you're finding things beautiful tells me that you find the beauty in everything.
The people are fascinating there.
On the tube, I'm just like, oh, this is dirty. Oh, this smells bad. And you're like, oh, it's so romanticized. I love it.
No, at that time, probably you're not really absorbing it.
Yeah.
But it stays in you. It leaves an imprint.
No, definitely.
And then when you're sitting and designing, you draw back on those impressions. And that is why it is, the older I get, I kind of realize it is so true what the elders used to say and the wise used to say, that what you're consuming, what you're seeing, who you're surrounded by, it really shapes who you are and your thinking. And for example, I always tell people, how they say heaven and hell actually just exists inside of you. Like, we all know our darkest places that we can go to inside of us, and the most beautiful, vibrant places. So Pinterest, I feel, is like the heaven on internet, and Reddit probably is hell. So, and if you are on either of these platforms, you can actually really experience the change in your line of thinking, your thought, what the connectors are to what you do next. So just being in that environment, actually, it was a very depressing time there, right? Like a lot of departmental stores were shutting down. It was a
Right.
financial crisis. It was affecting my families back home. It was affecting everyone. And I was seeing that happening, like massive stores shuttering down. But for me, it was just being exposed to, I think high street where actually originated, according to me, in London. Like you look at Vivienne Westwood and you look at the punk movement, and you look at everything that has come out of there. It has had so much energy in it. It has had so much lasting impact on fashion and art and culture. So just being in that city actually gave me that. Not necessarily what I was actually watching to say, okay, oh my God, my sketchbook, let
Of
me
course.
let me, a lot of artists do that.
They
I'm not
do.
one of them. I'm just I have a
Inspiration.
visual appetite to just consume, and then it kind of comes out later. So I digressed. But I think being at the right place, surrounded by the right people, and especially when it comes to the kind of team you build, are they honest people? Will they give you good, like important feedback, or are they just there to just do their job and go home and say, oh yeah, that's great. So it's very important for me to curate the people I surround myself with, because it has a direct impact on what I create.
Of course.
Yeah.
But okay, now I'm going to go more into the business side of things. First of all, tell us the story of the name, Papa Don't Preach.
Again, I think growing up, your environment really shapes you. So, of course, the question I always get asked is, was Papa Don't Preach inspired by your papa? And I say I was a Punjabi girl, very protected, almost to a point where I wanted to be like, no, I just, I wish I was a guy and I could just go out at this time. And I completely understand why my dad was that way today. But at that point, I was just like, no, there was a lot of rebellion in me. And music was usually my savior. I love to dance. I love to just put on music and just dance on my own. I don't think I've done it in a while now, but when I was younger, that was my go-to. Like that was my safe place. So I knew that it had to come from music. I was like, where else can it come from? Like, I think music can save the world. And I sat with my playlist, and two names really popped out. One was Lucy in the Sky by Lily Allen, and the other was Papa Don't Preach. And another name that I really wanted for the brand was Perfectly Flawed. But that was, I think, taken by somebody.
Yeah.
So there was always contradiction. There was always a feeling of trying to figure out a place that I belong in. Like, okay, this is great. But there was a lot of movement. There was a lot of probably friction, a lot of unused energy. And I think that name gave that to me. And on that day, I was working out of my living room. Of course, I didn't have a setup at that time, and I was trying to come up with a name and branding and logo and things like that. And I was like, Papa Don't Preach should be the name. And I called up my friend, and she's like, that is so you, but why don't you go check with your dad if he's okay with it? And I went into, my dad was also at home, surprisingly. So I went in and I said, Papa, what do you think of Papa Don't Preach? And luckily he's a Punjabi entrepreneur, and he's been such a support in everything that I've built today. I feel very lucky and very privileged to have had that. So he was like, oh, amazing name. Youngsters will never forget it. Everybody will remember you. I was like, wow, this is like amazing what has happened. And so it just stuck. But it took me long. It took me like 6 months to come up with the name and the logo. I really gave it time. I knew it was very important. For me, brand names are extremely important. I don't want to have to spend time explaining to people who Shubhika Sharma is, or I want a name that will instantly give you a visual feeling of what you're going to experience next. And I think the name has really helped me do a lot of the explaining that I would have had to do otherwise, to kind of build an identity around the brand, build a story around the brand, find adjectives that describe the brand. So it helped with that. And I think that is the importance of getting the right brand name and branding.
Yeah, I like that, because honestly, when I was preparing for the chat, I was like, She seems like she's inspired by her dad, but the name is saying Papa Don't Preach. I was like, where is the disconnect? But now I get it.
But that's an inspiration. No?
It
Papa
is.
Don't Preach is also an inspiration.
It
Like,
is.
don't preach. Like, I've got it. But okay, I've heard you. But I'll figure it out. Even in the song, she's saying, I'm in trouble deep, but I want you to love me and accept me.
Right.
Like, you know.
Right.
So it's not like she's telling him, I don't care about what you think. But she's saying, look, this is the situation. I've got it under control. I just want your bless. I just want
Just
you
be
to.
there for me. Yeah.
Just why can't you get it? So there's a lot of that. And I think growing up, we have that with our parents. So it was.
Of course.
Yeah, it is an inspired name.
It is.
Papa, yeah.
there is him in there, right?
There is
That's what
definitely him.
matters.
So now a lot of my lines are just called Papa.
Really?
Yeah, they're just Papa. Like a lot of people, even when I travel, they remember my brand name as Papa. They don't really add the don't preach.
The rest
I'm
doesn't
Papa.
count.
And I'm like, that's amazing. You know, it's like an ode to my dad, and I really owe so much of what the brand is today to him.
But I think obviously you are a creative person and that explains the designer side of things. But your business is so much more than just the design. It's actually running it as an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Do you think a lot of that comes from watching your dad do it?
My dad, my aunt, we've actually come from a family of entrepreneurs. So, and even my summer holidays were spent working in my aunt's school as a teacher. So putting coursework together and actually like building out a 4-week program, which was very creative. It was a summer program. So, and then another summer holiday, I remember I started a library. I took all my old newspapers, I sold that. And then I went and bought secondhand books and I took up a space and I set up a library. And
You're a businesswoman.
yeah.
Right?
So I think it comes very naturally. For me, entertainment and playing games was building a business and was selling something. Like even when I was making a purse out of my pant pockets, I was trying to sell it to somebody. I wasn't just designing it. That is a key difference that I always ask, young creatives to really understand about themselves. Like, are you a creative person who really just loves to design? Or are you a person who likes the business of designing and then selling? There's a huge difference. A lot of the brands that kind of shutter down or don't work is because this hasn't been understood about themselves. Because it takes two very different kinds of people to do both.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
But then for you, what made you do? You explained that you transitioned from high street wear to the label that you are today. What was the inspiration behind, kind of like challenging the stereotype when it comes to traditional wear?
I didn't actually want to challenge anything. It is just very naturally who I am. I am Papa Don't Preach. I am not Papa Don't Preach strategically. I am inherently so. So when I talk about rebellion, I don't really talk about it in the sense of like doing crazy things, getting drunk and none of that. I've been pretty clean all my life in that sense. But it has to do with, oh my God, I love that. Why don't we do it this way? Or it's just my experience of anything that I really love has to be made more personalized or made something. So it isn't strategic. It is just
who you are.
It's just who I am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And okay. And then when you actually launched the label, how was the first few years? Because I know it can be really rough when you're starting a new business.
Yeah, it was heartbreaking.
And what were you, 23?
I was 23, but I've been running the boutique since I was 19. So technically, I've been doing it since I was
still very
19.
young.
Very, very young.
Yeah.
But it isn't until probably 3 years ago, which would be when I turned 36, that I actually understood the financial and the business side of my business. Because when you're really young, you think as long as you're doing good work, as long as you're a good person, you're an ethical person, you have a happy team, you're taking care of your team and you're doing great work, it will work out, but it's only later you realize that if you disregard the money or the financial aspect of your business, it's like disregarding the blood that runs through your veins, like saying, I've got all my body parts functioning. I don't really need blood to reach all those parts. It really is. So it's now that I have understood it truly. It has taken me that long. So I always tell people, when you're building out the team, one very crucial thing that you need to do first is hire a really good accountant and a CA for your business. And I wish I had done that earlier. Um, but I think the learning curve has been great.
The learning curve has been great.
Yeah, I don't know if I answered your question at all because I can be slightly ADHD and I can lose track.
No, but that's
so
good
the
advice.
first few years were extremely. First few years, I say, is about 5 years.
5 years, yeah.
And I remember my CA coming in and he's like, you made X as a loss, but your turnover is 1 crore. And I was like, I didn't even focus on the word loss. I was like, my turnover is 1 crore. I was like, wow, I never thought.
You're just happy.
A crore. I never thought I would hear the word crore for my business. And I felt like I had done it. Like it was just incredible for me. So that has been the delusion. Actually, it has helped me greatly. Because if I didn't have that in my earlier years, I would have probably shut it down much sooner. And that, and of course, my dad and my parents who really supported me. And I remember messaging him finally one day, 3 years in, saying, Dad, if I'm not able to turn it around, then I'm going to shut it down. And he said, I don't want you to shut it down. Appreciate your message. And I know you're working really hard and it will work out by God's grace. Don't worry. And just, it is never a switch and it just doesn't happen overnight. People always ask me, what was that one moment that changed you? There's never a moment really. It happened gradually that when I moved into year 4 and I was sitting with my books, we weren't really in red that year.
Yeah.
It happened very slowly. And I'm not talking about being profitable because that happens much later in a fashion business. Much later. Like I think at least 10 years plus when you would ever see a profit if you do. Because the larger you grow, the larger your ambitions, the more you have to put into money, put back into the business. And it's just a cycle and it'll just keep you going. And I think today I can safely say a business is not about anything else but your own probably spiritual evolution, because it'll take you to dark places. It'll make you confront so much of your bullshit. And
sometimes you can't hide anymore, right?
No, I think business is just about that. It's not about anything. Like today I can like really say it's not about fame. It's not about profit. It's not about fuck you money. It's not about anything. It's just like, oh my God, I have to be really uncomfortable in life for me to grow. And like, that's what my business has given me and continues to give me.
But okay, I'll push on that. What was the biggest, you think, personal sacrifice you made for your business?
I think those sacrifices are daily sacrifices. But I think the biggest sacrifice, if I do call it, if I had to name it, is letting go of my grand delusions of why I'm doing what I'm doing. There's so much ego and pride attached to, I'm an ethically run label. You can walk into my workshop anytime, meet with my karigars. And, I raised so much money for my karigars in COVID. And we keep them in air conditioning. There's just so much. Like, I want to actually build a karigar academy. I went to Harvard and I spoke about, I tried to find people who would, help me create a fund to put a Karigar Academy together, etc., etc. And then the business kind of challenges you to say that, look, you may be making a loss currently and you have these grand proclamations that you're making outside. But unless you have the money to really support because, we're living in a capitalist society. I wish we were born in a different time where it was a socialist world or whatever. But this is the world we're born in and you need the money to walk the talk. So I had to let go of that. I had to get very, very real. I had to make very hard decisions. I reached a point where I was like, am I an imposter? Because outside I'm saying these grand things, but inside I'm really just trying hard to just pay the salaries on time and rent on time. Like it got really real. So then I was like, okay, cut out the bullshit, go really quiet, fix your business. Because we scaled very quickly in the last 3 years. We, got a store, we got another store, and we scaled at a speed where I wasn't prepared to, or my team wasn't prepared, or we weren't equipped to handle that scale of or speed of growth. And in that, a lot of leaks and,
Growing pains, they're called, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, they were.
Mm.
And so I had to just put my head down, fix that. And I was like, that time will come. But that time will come when I have been a successful business
Mm.
owner, when I've run my company, I am actually responsible for 150 households right now. So if I'm doing right by that first, then I can talk about doing these grand things of Karigar academies and all of that. So if I'm able to give them safety, them security first, that is my first responsibility. And that does not need me to talk about all of this. That does not need me to try to go to Harvard and raise money. It needs me to just do my business efficiently, cut down costs, and really focus on setting that right. So that was a very painful 1 year, past 1 year. We've just come out of that. And then, I'm proud to say that we came out of it really, really well. And today, the person that I am, minus the delusions, and I think that was a sacrifice if you want to look at it, but I feel like it actually paid off really, really well. Yeah, of course. So that when you talk about personal life, or you talk about, my all my travels in the past 3 years have only been work, so no holidays. I mean, if you want to count those as sacrifices, then probably that just comes with you just taking your responsibilities really seriously and head down with full accountability.
So the thing is, it's very interesting. You know how you were saying when we do podcasts, you end up asking questions for things that stick to you. And we are currently going through that phase with my business of growing. And I completely relate with what you're saying. Sometimes the team is out of capacity, you're out of capacity, but you have such big things you want to do, and you see the path right in front of you. You want to run, but then you can't. You have to walk fast.
You have to walk. You have to walk, and you don't need to. I mean, and running is not the sacrifice, because walking is what's the need of the hour. So if you look at, I'm not able to run as a sacrifice, then sure. But that's just a bubble. It's just a delusion.
But do you believe in work-life balance? Do you have it?
See, I've been working and I've been building whatever I'm building here since I was 19. And that's the kind of family also I belong to, where I've not seen. I remember if my dad is ever sick, he'll never let anybody in the house know, because we'll ask him to probably rest. And he finds it absolutely, the biggest wound on his pride is that he's seen as somebody who's ill, even for a day. So he says, I'll rest when I'm dead. So that is I don't think that is the best way to be. I think it's great that we're, as a society, kind of moving into more awareness and consciousness of what life needs to be, what it can probably be softer, it can be kinder, especially for women. You do realize that it isn't entirely fair. Without sounding like a victim, is the reality of it, right? So then when you get, but it comes at a very old age, at least for me, where
very old age, please.
much older than when I started, when I was 19. Today I'm 38. So for me to now be able to say that, it would be great to have, I don't think work life as a concept exists, because I don't think you can kind of cut off 8 hours or 12 hours of your day to say that is work, but that is not life. And like, this is life. I think all of life is all of life, and work is a part of life. And the key is in learning how to do all the hours of your day as if you're really living and you're really present. And I'm far from having learned that, but that is the goal, to even do the work as if like it's life, and these are my opportunities, and this is the role I'm playing in this version and this play of my life. And today I'm walking into an office and I'm like talking to so and so, and I'm doing a podcast. And I mean, that is not work, that's life. All of life is life. But being able to steal those softer moments, that is always a struggle, So I don't think that, and I don't think that can happen for anyone.
I agree. And I think I prefer to call it work-life integration rather than
Absolutely.
work-life balance.
Yeah.
Because you need to find, as you said, in life, you have time for work, and in work, you have time for life.
Yeah.
And especially as a business owner, don't you feel like it's impossible to switch off? Even if you're on holiday,
Absolutely.
someone needs you, you need
Yeah.
to respond to something, and it's your business.
Absolutely.
So you can't just leave it
Yeah,
behind.
all of life is all of life. And
Yeah.
work is life. So it is work-life integration.
Of course. And now I want to ask you, obviously, you've been running this business for many years now. Do you feel, and you are in what is considered a very male-dominated industry as well, do you feel like you had to step into more of your masculine in order to be a founder and an entrepreneur and be taken seriously? A quick break for a word from our sponsor today. Today's episode is brought to you by Inglot of Apparel Group, a brand that is known for celebrating creativity. With high-quality, customizable products, Inglot encourages people to boldly express who they are through makeup.
You know, had you asked me this 6 months back, I would have said it isn't a very male-dominated industry here currently in India. Fashion was always seen as one of those things that girls took up probably as a hobby, and then sure, they built like they opened a boutique, or then they started a brand. I think it is only post-COVID when it's got really, really serious, the business of fashion, especially, and it's a very unorganized industry. You don't know how to go on LinkedIn and even like, what do I call this certain role that I need a person for in a fashion house, because it doesn't exist in India. It's very nascent. Our oldest designers are probably 30 years old. So that's how young the industry is when you compare it to what's been going on in luxury outside of India. Like they're over 300 years old, the brands there. So it isn't, this industry is just only forming right now in India. It isn't male dominated. I don't think that I've ever found that as a challenge, be it talking to editors who are women here, be it talking to stylists who are women here. All the karigars who work with you are very used to women being, you know, their leaders here. So it hasn't been a challenge. But now when, you know, funding has started coming in, and you have Reliance and Aditya Birla kind of looking at fashion as a more serious industry now, and they're organizing it, now is when you will get the men at the top. It hasn't happened for me yet. But why I say I would have answered this 6 months ago is because the second part of your question is, did you really have to bring the masculine?
Yeah.
And I think that when you have to look at the business aspect of anything, when you have to look at the money and you have to look at the finance and you have to make really hard decisions, that is where you have to bring your masculine side. Because I do think the feminine side, when it is not completely formed, and I think that at least for me, it wasn't completely fully formed, you can get manipulated, you can be taken for a ride, you can be, I had a really hard time there being in a leadership role. When I'm used to forming very close relationships with everybody I work with, but as the company scales, you can't have that relationship with everybody. So that was a hard learning curve. So there I had to become more masculine to say that, you know, my cutoff line, my boundaries, and, you know, you are here to work. I owe you a salary. You owe me, you know, certain KRAs and KPIs. Let's keep it that it's clean, it's easy. So that was a hard one, but you have to bring that. So I don't think it's because of the industry, but it is just at anything that you do in life, the masculine and feminine energy both need to play out in a balanced way. The yin and the yang always constantly has to be at play. And often, especially in India, when we're growing up in beautiful protected families, we're not taught to channel the masculine. We don't really have conversations around money. We don't have conversations about, hey, there may be a point when your parents get really old and you may have to support them. Or they may get really sick and you may have to support them. We're not given because we're protected. We're like, nothing. You just, you know, as long as you're okay, as long as you're safe, everything is fine. So how do we channel the right, how the balance between the masculine and feminine, especially as Indian girls? It has been a really tough journey for me. You know, especially as creative people, our feminine is always largely at play. You know, it's fluid, it's beautiful. We don't follow routines. we don't know how to show up as at clockwork and like, okay, collection 1, collection 2, collection 3, collection 4. We like our pockets of just doing nothing and just floating like a cloud, For me, that is beautiful to be able to do that before I design a collection, which is what I'm doing. I have a runway show 2 weeks later and I'm just floating right now. I need to anchor myself. So yeah, the structure, the discipline, again, like I said, because of the world that we live in, that is very much required to make a successful business. So it's always a tug of war between both sides for me.
But now that you said you've been learning a little bit more about how to make the feminine work for you, what do you think are the strength of feminine traits that we can bring as a leader of a company?
Oh, so many. I think as women, we are just so much more perceptive. I can walk into my workshop and I can know which karigar is having an off day, is not well, is not sick. So for me to really protect myself from that also, feeling like, aap ghar chale jao, why don't you go home? So the tough love that women actually know how to do really well, that is also something that can be put to work in your I mean, I'm just digressing because
no, go for it.
the question is, what are the feminine aspects that we
can...
The
strength of feminine aspects.
Okay, so the strength is that we're extremely perceptive. I can very easily gauge when a person is trying to take me for a ride, but it is of my choosing to allow them to do it, which is which is the shadow side of the feminine. Right. You can see it, but you will allow that to happen.
Yeah.
So the shadow side is the dangerous side. I can, there is EQ and IQ both at play. And I think it is so crucial because the work that we do is just with so many people. Everything that we're making is made by people using their hands. Nothing of it is machine or on the computer and things like that. So you're really just working with people. So it's a people's organization. It's a people's company. And I don't think anybody knows how to do that better than women. We're actually extremely good at multitasking. Extremely, extremely good. I have been with and around so many men where I have just sat and admired their focus, but I feel like they don't even know how to switch out of the focus and move on to the next thing. Because you're just, and it really helps, right? That focus really, really helps.
It's laser,
But not when you're, I think, like you're designing and then you're going and, talking to a karigar who needs some money for his family member. And then you're also talking about like, that plant is dying in the office. I feel like we're just able to do so many more things. Like it's more like a 360-degree vision that we have instead of having blinders on. So I think if more women embrace their light side of feminine and don't really go into the victim side, the shadow side, the side that can get manipulated, that can be taken for a ride, that can go into victimhood, that can, form enmeshed bonds with their people at their workspace. If it is the light side of it, I think it's radiant. It's so alert. It's so wise. I think alert is the word. And we're constantly alert about what's happening, who's saying what's going on, who's entering, which message is coming. I think that is a very feminine ability to be able to do that. Have a 360-degree vision of wherever you are.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I think just generally, there was this research that was done that showed that most people who have a female manager feel like they are taken more seriously at work just because of the empathy that comes.
I hope my people feel that.
They're definitely part of the study, don't worry. But okay, next thing is more about your industry. I feel like now with the speed at which there's fast fashion, there is a lot of copycats out there as well. How do you navigate this whole new environment and how do you protect your originality and whatever you are trying to build?
I think it already always existed. The copies always have existed. But I think now there is a sense of entitlement that has allowed people to just become unafraid of consequences. I mean, earlier there used to be copycats who would probably be sitting at Chandni Chowk and selling out of like these, pockets of markets that they've built for this. But now on Instagram, we're seeing openly like young folks launching their new brands, lifting
Yeah,
exactly the same print, shooting an entire campaign with that, with music, with models, like, heavy production, and they're putting it out there. So there is that, you can just very clearly see that ethical sense of responsibility towards the other, it's kind of dying out because everybody's in the pursuit of quick money, quick fame, and that has kind of blinded everybody of what their actions are probably doing to the other. And that is just society on a whole, not just with fashion. Recently Rahul Mishra won a case against a plagiarism case, and I think that's incredible because in India that's very, very hard to do.
Okay.
And he's done that. So I'm hoping that moving forward, for brands who have the ability to have a legal team to fight these cases, to like file these cases, because it's a lot of work, right? Like not all brands have that kind of bandwidth or the financial backing to have a legal team working this out, especially in India, because it's happening everywhere. But at least now there's hope that there is one case that has, seen success. So maybe if we also put our hearts to it, we'll be able to fight it. But I think it's a lost cause. We just have to focus on making new things, putting it out there. But it feels bad because, we always discuss, and I discuss it even with my karigars. Like we're standing and we look at one bead that I've placed in a massive lehenga for hours, and I'll be like, pink or green? And he'll put the green, then he'll cut it out, then he'll put the pink, then he'll put the green, and he'll put the pink, and we'll do it so many times, and then you just suddenly see it like mass
Produced. Yeah.
Imagine one of our embroidered jumpsuits we saw on Sheen. Like, I just don't get it. How did you make it?
How?
In that, I don't know. I didn't even want to pursue it. Like, I didn't even want to. I was just like, this is beyond me now. This has blown my mind. Now I cannot put any more energy to this. And then you see it on like really good retailers, like Nykaa Fashion or something like that. There will be younger designers who will just copy our designs and put it there. Then we have to write to them to say, look, but this is our design, and you're selling it for like
nothing.
So I think that the responsibility also lies on the consumer. And I do realize that India is a country we're just barely coming out of survival mode. We're targeting probably a 0.0001%. I mean, fact check me on that percentage. It may not be right, but just to give you an idea of how small the percentage of the population that can actually afford luxury couture at the price points that we're selling at. So it is a very price conscious country, and rightly so. So, if they have to buy 8 outfits for a wedding, they'll say 3 out of that can be a copy. And I can get it made from my tailor or from my master G. We have so much access to masters and tailors and karigars in India that it's really hard to even, tap it at source to say, this is the person who's copying me or that is the person. Everybody is copying you.
It's just there, yeah.
It's just there. It's out there. And I think that as the industry grows, as it gets more organized, as brands get more organized, once they get more funding, and probably a lot of brands see IPO listings, and, when it gets to that level, probably we'll be able to have one whole floor of lawyers sitting and working for us. But until then, as a society, if we can just become more conscious of our actions and just have more accountability towards the other.
I agree. But, even for me, if just one video, which doesn't take me as long as it takes you to create anything, if I feel someone copies it, I get so annoyed.
Yeah.
So I can only imagine your frustration with this. But at the same time, do you sometimes just take it as a compliment?
I feel like imitation is the best form of flattery. Is just really old because now everybody's doing it. In fact, every person is looking like the other. Like all faces are looking the same. So I don't know if it is flattery anymore. I don't know if it's compliment anymore. I feel like it's entitlement. I feel like it's easy access.
Yeah, it's finding the easy way to success as well.
Yeah,
right?
shortcuts.
Yeah. But given that you work so closely with all these people who are, doing these beautiful jobs with their hands.
Artisans, yeah.
Yeah. What do you want to see more come out of this country for fashion?
I think the respect and the dignity for the craftsmanship and the artisans has to come back, and that responsibility lies on us, as creative entrepreneurs. It lies on our journalists. It lies on our media. How we present the India story is very, very important now. We're at a very crucial and a very exciting phase where the world is looking at India through colored lenses still. However, they are looking. And this is the time for us as an industry to really unite, come together, and work towards putting the Indian craftsmanship and artisans on the map. Because India is one of the only few countries that is still doing the handwork, the embroideries at the level, at the scale, and at the intricacy that we're doing it at. I mean, you pick up a Gucci gown and you pick up any lehenga from even a basic designer, not a basic designer, or like a designer that is not a brand yet. There's a huge difference in the intricacy of that lehenga and a Gucci gown, and a lot of those brands are embroidering their pieces in India, most of them. So it is time that the artist and the karigar and the craftsman who's right at the bottom of the food chain right now, he gets his recognition. And I think that time will come. It's a little far away. But it's a chicken and egg. Once the client, the consumer is ready to pay the price for couture, understanding that, yes, that is the craftsmanship and I'm ready to pay the price for that, is when designers, conscious designers or conscious businesses will find ways to support and pay better wages, higher wages. Of course, the base wages are there, slightly better wages are there, but why not excessive, take home your same salary as an MBA or a doctor, why can't we do that? And we can't do that until, like I said, chicken and egg. There needs to be conscious entrepreneurs. There needs to be conscious customers. There needs to be, so that whole ecosystem needs to become more conscious so that the whole food chain feels satiated. It's very easy to say, oh, these designers, they like to keep their huge markups and their profits and they don't want to pay the karigar. But are you willing to pay the designer? When you walk into my store, are you willing to pay the price that I'm quoting without bargaining, without customizing it to a point where I don't even recognize my own design? So what happens to all the fabric, all the embroidery materials that I've bought to make that piece, but you want to change it completely and you want it at your price that you're quoting? What happens to the guy? What is left at the bottom? So yeah, consciousness overall just will help it, and they really need it. And because the time is coming. So if we all rally together, we can put India on the map as it rightly should be.
As it should be. I think fashion definitely is so unique.
Oh yeah, I think luxury started here. So much of what we wear, the textiles. I mean, if you look at the textiles that come out of India, and embroideries obviously came from way up north. When you look at the Mughals, and that's where the embroideries came from, but the textiles all came from India.
Right.
So I think it's only time.
So tell me, how old is Papa Don't Preach now?
If you look at when we launched the high street wear, it's 2012.
Wow.
Yeah.
So more than 10 years, 13,
yeah, more than
13
10
plus?
Years. Yeah.
Wow.
And when we see it in the form that you see it in now, that is from 2014. So
wow.
Yeah.
And if you were to look back at Shubhika in 2014, what advice would you give her based on what you've learned across these
Usually when
years?
I'm asked this question, I often cry. But it's not happening today, so that's great.
Oh, shame.
What advice I would give? I think that, as I said, if you're asking me just from a person who's building a brand, I would tell her to focus on the finances and on the business and make that team really, really strong. I think everything else that she did was absolutely right. I don't think that I would ask her to do anything else. I think she was patient. I think she was resilient. I think she kept her ethics always in check. And yeah,
Yeah.
I think she did it right.
Okay.
Minus the.
I mean, she did.
Yeah, she did.
She did smash it. But do you think that even today there is the market, is the industry crowded, or is there still space for someone new to come in and carve out their own niche?
So now the world is no longer just you and me sitting in a room or my family knowing extended circle of friends, which is like 50 people max, 100 people max, who probably know you. 100 is also a lot. Now you are looking at a world where you are competing with designers sitting in Germany and in Finland, and because you haven't any idea. Today, if I have any idea and I'm like, that's so cool, somebody in my team will be like, oh, I found this on Pinterest and it's exactly that. Because somebody else somewhere has done it. That's just how ideas work, right? Like they don't come into one person's brain. It comes together, like that. The case study, that experiment that I forget his name, a scientist did, where on one island he gave a bunch of bananas to monkeys.
Okay.
And he taught them how to peel it and eat it. And then he went all the way to the other island and he saw the monkeys over there were also peeling and eating it. So that is just how evolution works. That's just how ideas work. No idea comes to one singular person. It's just about who does it first, who does it better, who puts it out there, which is why you see the kind of speed and the race at which everybody is trying to work now, because they're like, I need to be the first one to say it because somebody else will say it. So that is why fast fashion, that is why everything is fast, because we're just so scared of somebody else doing it first, saying it first. So if you are able to cut off from that, because that can give you so much anxiety and that can just give you like, oh my God, I can literally not contribute anything new to the world because everybody's already done it. It is paralysis literally now. And I suffer from like long bouts of it where I'm like, why am I even doing it? Like, do you really need more clothes? But yes, we do need fresh voices. We do need people who can look at the world even 1% probably differently from you. Because that is what takes the world forward, conversation forward. Art, fashion, music have such a great responsibility of, breaking through barriers of gender, of, languages. Somebody gives a sari to somebody else in, like, probably if I gift a sari to somebody in New Zealand, they'll look at that fabric and they'll drape it in their own way, but they'll be able to do something off it.
Yeah.
It is not something that has a language barrier or like certain instructions that you can only drive on the right side over here and not on the left side. So fashion, art and music is that gift to the world, and we need more people to do it. So there is, if you look at the clutter in the world, it's immense, especially now that everybody is able to put their work out there. But that shouldn't really matter.
Okay.
Yeah, I think there is an audience for everybody's work.
Okay. Well, Shubhika, I would love to keep talking to you, but obviously we're running out of time. My one last question, maybe second last. What is the legacy you want to leave behind?
I'm not somebody who believes in the legacy project at all. I just do hope at the end of my career, I am able to do the Karigar Academy. And the Karigar Academy is the idea where a lot of when I say karigars, I mean the craftsmanship of like sitting and doing hand embroidery with thread work, with sequence work, and with bead work. A lot of these people don't want their children to learn the craft. It is something that was taught from, father to son.
Yeah.
It didn't really reach the women because women had to take care of the house. Even now, you'll only see men who kind of immigrate from Lucknow and come into cities like Bombay and Delhi and sit here and work here. So the women take care of the family back home and they do it. But it is something that isn't being taught anymore. Simply because when you ask them, they say there is no dignity in this line. They don't even talk about money. They just simply talk about dignity. As I said, they are like last on the food chain. So I wanted to start a school where children of like these karigars become teachers, because I don't think anybody can teach the way they do, because they have spent their entire lifetimes. I don't know if you've ever seen Karate Kid,
Yeah.
but wax on, wax off, wax. It's exactly how they learned it at
Yeah.
age 6, to just hold a needle and just keep doing this for like 2 years to just get a grip. At 6, just imagine you sitting and just doing this. I mean, how boring. Like, you want to run, you want to probably like, throw water balloons on somebody. I don't know what you want to do. But they're taught to do that. And they have to go and find their own ustad or guru or teacher. And they have to really, really convince him to take them on as a student. The teacher doesn't charge them anything. This is how it was taught back in the day. So, you get them sweets, you get them, all sorts of things. And you say, please take me as a student. And then you start learning it this way. And at age 6, you start doing this. And probably when you're like 10, 12 is when you're finally allowed to sit on a piece of fabric and actually embroider.
Actually do something.
Yeah, and actually do it. And now when I ask them, so where is your teacher now? Or where are your friends who learned with you? A lot of them in Lucknow have all become rickshaw drivers.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it's a skill that is just really dying out, and it really hurts me. So what I want to do is build a school where every child is taught science and math and computers and accounts and just life skills along with this as a skill, so that they don't feel like this is the only thing they can do. So they don't feel suffocated by the fact that this is my fate. I am the child or the son of a man who does embroidery, so I have to do it because I couldn't do anything better. They are happy to make their sons, chauffeurs. They're happy to make them office boys, which is actually no skill at all.
Right.
They're happy to do that, but they just don't want them to become what they are. And that is so sad, because this is a skill I can work. I can do every single thing in my office, but actually sit and hand embroider. I can't do that. I can't design. I will not have anything to put on the runway if they don't exist or their skill doesn't exist. So I want to build that kind of a school where they get a certificate at the end of it, so that even if they pass out, say they want to go and pursue, probably, do accounts somewhere, they'll be able to. But the skill lives on.
Right.
And if they do learn, they do choose to do the skill, it's out of choice. And it's out of the love for it. And there's dignity. And the certificate is hopefully government recognized. And hopefully the certificate is something that they apply, to design houses, and they get a standard level of pay, which is equivalent to probably a graphic designer or a social media head in the company. So I'm talking about a utopia that feels really far away, but I hope that is not really my legacy, but at least that's something that I'm able to do and contribute and give back to these people who are giving me my livelihood.
I love that. It's almost rewiring the perception of the job. And I can see that happening, hopefully, very soon. And what do we have to watch out for in the short term from you?
It's an exciting time for Paparon Fridge. We're launching a high jewelry in the next 2 weeks. So when I started the brand, I always was very clear that I didn't want to limit it to just fashion and clothing. And so then we do shoes and we do bags. We've launched a home line because I look at it as a whole lifestyle, because it is something that is so unique and fresh, and people actually really just love even to walk into our store and just experience the world that we're creating. I often say it is a world of all things unimagined and inspired by everything that isn't real. So I want to bring that into people's life in all aspects of, be it home, be it just their everyday living, diaries, journaling, even to high jewelry. We worked with beautiful, I think you'll see it shortly. It's going to launch in a week's time. Because often when people would shop for Papa Don't Preach, their very instant question is, how do I style it? Because it can get intimidating. It can be a little, it takes up too much space, the outfit.
Mhm.
So you're very scared. Like if I put on a necklace which it doesn't complement, or will it look too much? Will it look too little? What do I put in my hair? So the answer to that is our jewelry line. It's extremely luxury of high quality. And then shortly we're launching, of course, our bridal couture, and we're making a comeback at Lakme Fashion Week, which is the India Fashion Week. After almost a decade, the last show I did was in 2015.
Oh, wow.
I'm excited to be back on the runway. I should run now to my workshop and start
Yeah.
working on the collection because it's only 2 weeks away. So that's happening, and hopefully we see Papa Don't Preach in UAE and in New York
Can't wait.
soon.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being here, Shubhika. I can't wait to see the shop opening up in Dubai.
Yeah, I can't wait either.
And we'll take that conversation offline as well.
Yeah. Thank you. It was lovely chatting with you.
You too. Thank you. We actually have a little thank you for you.
Oh, wow. That is so cool. I love it. Thank you. This is so thoughtful.
You're very welcome. This is for you to take home. It's a heavy, will help you, don't you worry. But thank you.
Yes, it was exciting to be here, and I hope our conversation continues.
Of course, you have my number. So
Yeah.
please.